Trust in God. When you say it is impossible, God says all things are possible. Luke chapter 18, verse 27. When you say I am too tired, God says I will give you rest. Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. When you say nobody really loves me, God says I love you. John 3:16 and John 3:34. When you say I can't go on, God says my grace is sufficient. 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9 and Psalm 91 verse 13. When you say I can't figure things out, God says I will direct your steps. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 and 6. When you say I can't do it, God says you can do all things. Philippians chapter 4 verse 13. When you say I am not able, God says I am able. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 8. When you say it is not worth it, God says it will be worth it. Romans chapter 8 verse 28. When you say I can't forgive myself, God says I forgive you. 1 John chapter 1 verse 9 and Romans chapter 8 verse 18. When you say I can't manage, God says I will supply all your needs. Philippians chapter 4 verse 19. When you say I am afraid, God says I have not given you a spirit of fear. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7. When you say I am always worried and frustrated, God says cast all your cares on me. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 7. When you say I don't have enough faith, God says I have given everyone a measure of faith. Romans chapter 12 verse 3. When you say I am not smart enough, God says I give you wisdom. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 30. When you say I feel all alone, God says I will never leave you or forsake you. Hebrews chapter 13 verse 5. God bless.